Hello everyone, it is Toby here, and we are once again talking pro strongman. And the question on my mind today is, who is the GOAT? Who is the greatest strongman to ever do it? Who is the best strongman to ever do it? And who's the strongest strongman to ever do it? Who is that person that singularly encapsulates what it is to be a strongman? That is what we're going to discuss in today's video. Everybody has their opinion on who is the best strongman we've ever seen. It is constantly debated in YouTube comments, live stream chats, Reddit threads, Instagram comments. There is just a never-ending debate on who is the best strongman. And we have a few names that crop up time and time again, whether it be Big Z, Brian Shaw, Eddie Hall, Thor Bjornsson, and Mitchell Hooper now coming onto the block, just being utterly dominant. There are a few names here that come up all of the time, and I will tell you right now at the start of the video, Eddie Hall is not the GOAT of strongman. You might be an Eddie fan. Eddie is the person who got so many millions of fans into the sport, but even though Eddie is one of the most statically strong, most brutally strong people that have ever competed in the sport of strongman and they ever walked the planet, he is nowhere near the GOAT status of strongman. So let's bury that one at the start. But the other four that I mentioned might just be. Now, before we jump in to the whole argument for and against each individual person, I need to address the elephant in the room, or rather the elephant that is no longer in the room, and that is my squat rack's missing. There is nothing behind me in the gym. There's just a deadlift platform and some bars. Where's the squat rack gone? Well, this will be revealed in a upcoming video, which I've been working hard on, and I've just needed to record this video with that missing. And before anyone comments about it, we'll explain it very, very soon. But before we jump back in to the pro strongman discussion, where we're discussing who is the best to ever do it, I want you to go down below, leave the name of the person you think is the best strongman we've ever seen, and a little argument as to why. And then once you've watched the video, come back to it and see if I've swayed you a different way. But this video is purely going to be my opinion as a massive fan of the sport who seems to know a thing or two about this sport as well. I just want to give my opinions. You can disagree with it, that's fine, but I beg you, just please don't dislike the video or anything like that. This is just a discussion. I'm not stating this as fact. I'm stating this as my opinion. So if you enjoyed that video, even if you disagree, go down below, click like on the video, and subscribe for more strongman discussion, and indeed to find out what's happened to my squat rack. But without further ado, let's jump in to the full discussion. So when we say who is the best strongman that we've ever seen, we need to really understand what we are asking for. So obviously, we can ask for who is the greatest to ever do it, who is the GOAT of strongman. And in this category, I think we need to take into account, obviously, technical prowess, strength, the amount of titles won, but also the longevity and impact on the sport over a number of years to sort of determine who is the greatest strongman to ever do it. And I think there are two names in this category that we need to talk about, and that is Zydrunas Savickas and Brian Shaw. And these two are each other's reason as to why we don't have the absolute definitive answer of this person is the best to ever do it. Because without Brian Shaw, Zydrunas has 8 World's Strongest Man titles, and without Zydrunas, Brian Shaw has 8 World's Strongest Man titles. These two went back and forth over 8 years, taking titles from each other across all of the competitions. And they are the reason why strongman became so big in a lot of senses, because that rivalry, that competitiveness was just awesome to watch. And with longevity, with numbers of titles won, there's only one man we can give this to, and that is Zydrunas. He just has hundreds of title wins, event wins, podiums across his enormous career. It is just mental to think about how long Zydrunas was competing and how regularly he was competing in this sport. I think it is absolutely fair to say that Zydrunas is the greatest strongman we've ever seen, as he has the most accolades, the longest career at the top of the sport, And it's just mental to see what he does. He advanced so many world records in the overhead presses. Him and Brian battling and pushing each other forward really elevated the sport to the next level. And you might think, well, there we go, job done. We've answered who is the greatest strongman of all time. But this video is titled, Who is the best strongman of all time? And there is a slight distinction there where I think the best strongman to ever do it is the strongman that when we take a hypothetical competition of every single event we have ever seen at World's Strongest Man and put every single athlete we have ever seen at any strongman comp together in one massive hypothetical competition, who would come out on top? Who has the best consistency across every event that we have? Who do I think is going to come out on top in that scenario? I think it's Mitchell Hooper. Now, I know Mitchell Hooper's a very, very polarizing character in Strongman, but even his haters cannot deny he is just a phenom. He is a unbelievable talent in this sport. To have the quick rise that he had, but also the dominance that he's had the last couple of years on some of the competitions with some of the strongest lineups we've ever seen. It is just ridiculous to see how good Mitchell Hooper is. He has the top end strength. He's got the athleticism. He's got the technical ability for the most part, apart from on log cleans recently. But he is generally just the most talented across all strongmen. Even the greats like Brian Shaw, Zydrunas, there was always a weakness in there. Zydrunas' grip, I seem to remember, being a little bit of a weakness. Obviously, Brian, towards the end of his career, his movement speed took a bit of a hit, but he was brutally, brutally strong. Whereas Mitchell Hooper, at the minute, seems to be top 3 in pretty much any event you throw at him. And I think that is just so hard to beat that Mitchell Hooper might just be the best talent we have ever seen in Strongman and the best characterization of what it means to be a strongman athlete in this sport. And I think if Mitchell Hooper wanted to and had the desire to keep going for the next 10, 15 years, he could rival Zydrunas for that GOAT spot just by winning countless major competitions. Whether he has the desire to do that or just win a few, say his piece and be done, I don't know. But in my mind, Mitchell Hooper is currently the best strongman we have ever seen do it. So we have covered off the best strongman to ever do it, and we have covered off the greatest strongman to ever do it. But there is one final category that people love to debate, and that is who is the strongest to ever do it. And in this category is a few names. And this category is why I mentioned Eddie Hall there in the intro, also just to get a few clicks, but mainly because of this strongest to ever do it category. Because strongman, yes, is about being strong, but there are so many other components to strongman than just being strong. You've got to be fit enough to be able to move with weight and recover between events. You obviously have to be strong enough to lift the damn thing in the first place, but you have to be technically efficient, you have to be fit, you've got to be strong, and you've got to be athletic in strongman to be able to make it to the top consistently across the various different competitions that we have. But if we focus in on the main draw of strongman and talk about who is the strongest, then Eddie Hall comes up, Thor comes up, and other people who you might not expect are in that conversation. So obviously, starting off with the big one, Eddie is up there just because his pure static power in his prime was just phenomenal to watch. Eddie might not have been the best at certain events. He might not have been the most consistent strongman, but there is no denying that Eddie Hall was probably the strongest man who has ever walked the planet in 2017 and 2016. He was just in a league of his own in static strength, and it was just phenomenal to watch. Now, that doesn't make him the greatest strongman of all time. That doesn't make him the best strongman of all time, but it might make him one of the strongest. Well, it does make him one of the strongest. It might make him the strongest. But I think the man who actually is the strongest strongman we've ever seen is Thor. Just the ability Thor has to peak to an enormous body weight and just manhandle super heavy things. I mean, his deadlifts recently have now surpassed Eddie Hall, obviously deadlifting 501 kilo. And obviously, there's the whole debate on, was it in competition? Does it count as a record? Blah, blah, blah. I have no doubt in my mind that Thor has deadlifted 501 kilo. He has proved it countless times in other competitions that he is capable of such weights, and he will deadlift more than 501 in the near future. I am certain of it. But it's also the way he manhandles Atlas stones, manhandles drags, manhandles carries. He's just able to pick up these brutally heavy things like they're nothing and just be strong. Like Thor is the person you think of when you think of, yeah, that dude's strong. So there we go. We have 3 answers to 3 different questions for someone who goes, who do you think is the best? I will say, I think Zydrunas is the greatest to ever do it. I think Thor is the strongest to ever do it so far. And I think that Mitchell Hooper might just be the best strongman athlete we have ever seen. Now, it depends what question you're asking, which answer I will give you, and hopefully one of those 3 answers is satisfactory to you guys. And who knows, we could see the likes of Mitchell Hooper crossing over into the other categories if he puts in the work over the next 10 years. We might see someone else even more genetically stupid than Mitchell Hooper. And by genetically stupid, I don't mean dense. I mean like genetically just unbelievable than Mitchell Hooper coming in and doing what Mitchell Hooper did, except this time to Mitchell Hooper. It would be mental, but we could see it. There are always people out there who we don't know about that might come out of nowhere, like Mitchell Hooper did. So we have no idea what talent's out there to take that best strongman we've ever seen spot. And obviously the same goes for the strongest. But for now, right here, sitting in this somewhat empty gym, I'm going to say Zydrunas is the greatest, Mitchell is the best, Thor is the strongest. I hope that helped answer your questions. I hope that was a good enough analysis on my part. As I said, if I've missed anyone from that conversation, go down below, comment it. I might not have thought of them. And I mean, some people like to throw around names such as Kaz, such as Jeff Cape, some of the old guys from back in the day. And I think in the modern era, who knows what they could have done, but the sport has evolved, technologies have evolved, other things have evolved, and the athletes have evolved. And now we're seeing truly the best of the best at the minute. And I think strongman is only going to get better. So if it's a sport that you don't know too much about and you want to get into it, I'd say get into it because you're getting into it at a pretty bloody great time, because I think it's only going to get better as the years progress. But anyway, thank you guys so much for watching. Hopefully, as I said, that answers all of your questions on this topic. Hopefully it wasn't too much of a waffle, but I've given my thoughts. Now it's your turn to give your thoughts in the comments down below. But anyway, as I said, if you're new here, go down below, click like on the video, and subscribe. We don't just talk about pro strongman here. As you can see by the garage gym around me, I also do my own strongman and strength training where I sort of approach it from more of an amateur perspective, which is a bit more relatable to a lot of people watching than some of these absolute genetic phenoms that you see in strongman. So if that interests you, go check out my other videos. But anyway, I've been Toby. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.